Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the town board meeting for March 13th, 2024, roughly 6:30 p.m. As always, we are virtual and remote. We live stream to our Facebook, to YouTube, and to our website, and we've got instructions at the top of each agenda to join us via Zoom if you'd like to participate remotely. Next up, I would like to ask Deputy Supervisor Bollinger to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see. We've got no sign-ups for open podium. Anyone here to make a comment on open podium? Anyone join us via Zoom? If you're here to make a comment at open podium, please use the raise hand function. Okay, so seeing no open podium comments, we'll move right along. So I think you're gonna, so Deputy Supervisor Bollinger is gonna talk to us a little about improvements to the Skyridge Water District.
So many of you recall that we were going to do a big expansion of the water district up South Springs Road. That did not happen. So the water district, the town engineer, and myself and Supervisor Deere have sort of looked at a Plan B opportunity. We're going to look at replacing the tank and the loop piping that exists currently with modern. So that what they've had has lasted 50 years. We're going to try to get another 50 years out of another installation of that. Thanks to Assemblymember Sturpey, we have funding that will support a big part of this project. So we do expect that the component that the residents will be obliged to chip in for will be under the comptroller's level. And so we can move forward with this plan and so without going through a lot of hoops. So we are working it. Maybe the next meeting, maybe the one after, we'll have some pricing from the engineering firm and be able to move forward to go to bid on, planning just a replacement in kind. It's an upgrade. They're going to go from 50,000 gallons to 70,000 gallons, but it's basically the same system they have now.
And that will solve the issues with like the pressure with the.
It will improve. I don't want to say it's totally solved, but it will improve.
Yeah, it's really, we try to do the best, and this was the second best thing, so. Okay, thank you for the update. So we did have the comptroller send around some of the policies for the town. We got a procurement policy, travel, employee reimbursement, and investment policy. I know, some people I think had some feedback. Any comments? I don't, we're not looking to necessarily adopt these tonight, but any comments on these or anything that anyone wanted to kind of chat about in here that we want to maybe take a look at fixing?
There's a couple of language things, particularly in the procurement one. I guess I'll kick off with that one since it's first on the list. But there's a designated procurement officer that doesn't actually exist, and the way we do it is really and then later on it calls them the purchaser. I just think obviously should be consistent about having the purchaser is the purchaser, and it all has to be approved anyway. So it's not like somebody can just run out and buy something.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I thought we should talk about is the levels for the second approval, because they seem very low.
Yeah, the $500 limit seemed a little low for some of it. Also noticed that it didn't say anything about professional services in there. It should say that we don't are required to bid those out.
Yeah, just kind of make it clear.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, it's
all really good stuff. So I will, I'll definitely talk to our comptroller about that. And then I know in the, something that we've been chatting about, I don't know if everybody saw the travel employee reimbursement. We had made the change to increase that total amount per day. And so also after we went down to New York and had some conversations, looking at ways to simplify that process to make that $60 a day inclusive of sales tax.
Yeah.
So it's just simpler. We just have all employees know that whatever the receipt says, up to $60 a day, you can get reimbursed for it. And if you go over that, you're not getting reimbursed for anything. Doesn't really matter if we're reimbursing you for this or sales tax or anything like that. So I think a couple of little things.
I think that one was pretty good the way it was written.
I did think that we should also make it clear that it includes, tip up to a certain percentage,
Okay,
maybe $60.
I think that's a,
Maybe
Okay.
like no more than 20% of.
Yeah, but, yeah, and then, and sales, the sales tax is already in there.
Yeah. okay,
Just because if somebody's turning in a restaurant bill, that's what's gonna happen.
yeah, it'll have all those pieces of it, so. Hey, any other comments or anything like that? And we'll table these for a future meeting?
One thing me and Ann were talking about, it would be helpful for both of us if we could see any changes that have been made from the prior policy to this one.
Yes.
So.
We use
that
the
might-
share changes for that, when we get the copy of it, or? we have
If not, we
to-
can, we can organize it so that we can actually see the track changes.
I have a few other notes as well. but,
Yeah, go for it.
I thought we should say, like guideline 7 should include in compliance with New York State rules when they're talking about piggybacking. Because we can piggyback on contracts outside of New York State as well. And maybe make it be a little more clear as to which type of entities that we're gonna, the governmental entities we can do, like, I mean, you can piggyback on the public housing authority contracts too, as long as it says that on their contracts, that they're allowed to do that. Yes, I did do the procurement training at the association, so of course I'm gonna have a lot of comments on this. And I wasn't sure, at least it didn't come across clearly to me in the policy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Maria did a great job with this. I do think she did an amazing job with it. I felt it was really good. But again, I did go to the procurement training out there, and it scared me a little bit, I won't lie. But best, and I said best value in there, but I wasn't sure if it came across clearly that that can only be used for purchase contracts on there. And then I thought we should define formally bid a little bit more clearly. And for under guideline 2 would be, say that it should be have 3 written quotes, not just quotes, they could get verbal ones. And maybe define that type of stuff out, written quotes.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds good. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to get a collection of the
And
conversation.
then I added a thing for the going out to bid to make sure that the minority women and veteran-owned businesses were included.
Yes.
Which is required for most state contracts anyway.
Yeah, so maybe what we'll do is we'll try to summarize some of these comments and then I'll send it out to everybody. We can kind of add anything else and then I'll talk with the comptroller about that and then we'll kind of get an updated version. And then I'll work on getting that changed out so that we can kind of.
Yeah, I can even run the change. If we have the existing one, just send it to me and I can.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
I wish I had had a chance to put those changes into the document, but I've been sick for the past week, so I'm a little behind. I apologize for
So
that.
I don't know if anybody had changes. Are you done with the procurement?
From what I was able to get.
Okay. I don't know that anybody had changes to the travel. I thought that was pretty good. And then I think just adding a tip to that would be
Yeah.
good. And then do we have any suggestions on the investment?
So I had not necessarily a suggestion or recommendation, but just a topic of conversation. In investment policy statements for like 401ks or for not-for-profits, foundations, you can include what you seek to achieve through the investment, like the socially responsible ESG framework can fit into this. Now, we're not investing money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, so we wouldn't say necessarily that we want to be screening for certain values inside of that. But one thing that we could do is say that we seek to achieve maximum benefit to the community. And how we would do that is by working with credit unions rather than for-profit banking institutions. We become a shareholder and the shareholders directly benefit from the institution, whereas a bank is inherently extractive. The profits go to the shareholders of a publicly traded company or the shareholders of a privately held bank. And credit unions have an inherent value to the community because it's helping to provide financial resources that can then be leveraged to use for lending for a car loan for your neighbor. You have to live or work in a certain area to participate in a credit union. So the benefits stay local. The benefit either goes to the members of the credit union or it benefits other members by providing more liquidity.
I really like that, Caitlin. It's a great idea. Including a statement of our goals, our investment goals and the methods. And just a question, like, is there an example of a municipality using credit unions for investment purposes?
Yeah, I don't,
I mean,
it always says banks and trusts. I don't even know of an example that. that's
I am a
different.
credit union member as an individual human,
Mhm.
but as a municipality, if somebody doing it.
And I don't know that credit unions do
Yeah.
investment, like you could do a CD with them, but I don't know when you get anything more complicated, whether they, so I don't know, that's something to look at it.
I mean, we can call a credit union. and ask them.
I talked to American personally about like IRAs and 401ks, and they actually said they partner with a company to provide the service. So it's kind of through them, but then you make your appointment and then it's a third party at that point. And so that's usually how they,
So we can look into
yeah.
I think that's, maybe we set that as a goal, is to get there, in this version of the policy, to explore that and try to find ways to better
Yeah.
leverage, the town funds for, local groups.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with just making that a policy, like a goal.
Mhm.
If it's illegal, then we can't do it. It'd still be our goal.
And it's one thing to have like a checking account or a savings account with a credit union. I believe we are prohibited from doing that, but we could potentially purchase a CD, because that is not considered, that you're not banking with them, you're investing with them. And we're not, and we would never, we're not buying bonds, buying mutual funds or stocks by any stretch of the imagination. So when it comes to what can we do with our money to have a positive impact, that is the one thing we can do.
And maybe set some guidance too about,
And it could still be within the insured amount.
yeah, and but also to just make sure that, we're going after a competitive investment versus, maybe leaving money on the table to the, I think that's a great, maybe that's the conversation, is we set it as a goal, and then throughout the rest of the year and into next year, we start, kind of defining exactly how we do
But
that,
I
seeing what's
think-
possible.
I think goals like competitive rate would be one goal and the community impact might be another goal.
Yeah, and we could work with, I think, but we would have to look to see which institutions we could participate with, because they have rules if you have to work for them a certain, like you have to meet the criteria.
See if we,
Yeah, so I think, the two CDFIs in our region are Cooperative Federal and Empower. And so they are community development financial institutions, so they have an even greater impact than a traditional credit union. So
well, so if those are the two that we're looking at, then maybe we just reach out to them and say,
Can they do this?
do you work with municipalities? Could you maybe work on a program
I
with
would
us?
start with Empower, because I'm pretty sure we won't Cooperative Federal, I'm pretty sure you have to live or work in Syracuse,
Yeah,
which
that makes sense.
technically we don't, because we are in Manlius, so, but I think Empower.
That's great.
We'll check into that. And my other comment on that was really just some places where I thought it was redundant.
Okay.
And the other thing with the credit union is they're not FDIC insured, because they're insured through something similar that's for credit unions. So that'd be the other thing we want to check to make sure that we
Are legal to do
Yeah, that's
that.
legal. But I think even to just taking a step back and saying community impact, I think that's a good way to kind of set like the goal, and then we can kind of work out, the specifics. I think that's a great idea.
Cool.
Anything
I'm
else?
so glad you like it.
So like I said, I will probably ask everybody, rather than trying to send out a summary, we'll send out an email and say, all the notes that everybody has, to send those in, and then we'll work on getting those policies updated and then back out to everybody for review. So, next up, we have a request to open a bid for some highway equipment.
Yeah, so, as most of you know, we were very much delayed on getting any kind of equipment. So an opportunity has come to do something to speed this up by making an opportunity for a different bidder. So I would like to make a motion to authorize the highway and superintendent to advertise and receive bids on a 2023 or newer model Ford Super Duty F-550 600 cab and chassis for a bid opening to be held on April 3rd at 10 a.m. So this has to be, we have to agree to it, then it has to be posted, then it's to be available to car dealers who have trucks, and then they can bid on what price they could provide those. The one that we had reserved, actually it wasn't even the dealer, Ford said, we can't make any more, we're done. So the line ended and you gotta wait for next year. So we said, we don't have to wait for next year.
Yeah.
See if there's one on lot somewhere that we can buy.
That sounds good. For a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next up, we've, kind of have been in discussions about RT for months, if not years now. And so, seeing, I think we talked about this pretty extensively at a previous meeting. But, we've got some drafted changes here to the RT zoning to allow for a cannabis dispensary, but also to require it through a special permit. So, unless there's any discussion, I think really where we're at is we want to refer this to the planning board, the county planning board, and then set a date for a public hearing. But does anybody have any questions or points of discussion on this?
I do have just one question. I assume that this, the whereas and wherefores come from a model law somewhere in New York State. And I just want to ask the question because it seems a very generous statement to say that, this law will, page 2, protect the environment, improve the state's resiliency to climate change. It seems very generous.
Yeah, I think so.
We might want to review the wherefores.
A little over optimistic
It's a
there.
little rough.
ChatGPT got away from phone.
Anything else?
Thank you for noticing.
Yes. So we've got a motion here prepared to make the referrals and then also to set the date for a public hearing.
Yes, so Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to refer this new proposed local law to amend the zoning code to allow and regulate cannabis dispensaries in the RT zone to the town planning board and the Onondaga County Planning Board.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor? I'll also make a motion to set the date for the public hearing on this for April 10th at 6:35 p.m. Consider the proposed local law to amend our zoning code to allow and regulate cannabis dispensaries in the RT zoning district.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next up, we've got it's a section 289, I think? 47.
Yeah.
To essentially, work on a pilot with, one of the, solar projects in town, the one that's located over on Peck Road. Do you want to give a little background?
Yeah, so the developer reached out to us about negotiating a pilot, so payment in lieu of tax agreement with the developer to compensate the town for, in lieu of the taxes, we would receive these payments. We're still negotiating the terms of it. Right now, it's looking like, I think it's what's the megawattage?
Yeah, 4,000 per megawatt.
Yeah, 4,000 per megawatt, I think it's 4.3 megawatts, something. in that.
4.25 megawatts.
Yeah, 4.25. They're also proposing, which we're working on right now, a $20,000 host community benefit payment up front too, once the project's been completed. So it would be a 15-year pilot, I believe, with the 4,000. The 4,000 is going to get split though between, we'll get a percentage of the 4,000 that gets split between the school district, the town, and the county. So it gets split pursuant to our proportionate share of the tax bill. If that makes sense. Yeah, we don't have finalized numbers yet. I was hoping we would have them. They just haven't come in yet from the developer. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll be in a position to go through the numbers and approve it if it's okay with the board. So we'll probably just table it for now.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions or specifics on numbers, feel free to reach out
I think it would be helpful to, and I don't know if you have this or somebody else has this, to compare what the other arrangements are that we have, because this is not with Osida, right? This is
Well,
directly.
this is, yeah, they have the option to go through Osida, but they're going directly to us. It's
Yeah.
actually cheaper for the developer to go directly to the municipality.
Yeah, so I'd like to, I think I know in my head, but I'd like to know, like, what are the other agreements we have agreed to?
Okay, yeah.
I know we've got at least one other community host agreement. I think they're about in the same ballpark right now.
Yeah, I'd say 4,500 per megawatt is standard right now for New York State.
Yeah, that's what I think the 4,000.
And they basically said, well, we'll give you a $20,000 payment for the host community benefit and agreement for the $500 reduction on the megawatt. So
Yeah, so I just like to look at that,
yeah,
because there's, I know North Eagle Village is one, and I think Green, I don't remember what we did for Green Lake, so I'd like to just know what those are.
Yeah, we can pull those.
Okay, sounds good.
And I'd be curious too how that amount compares to the host community benefit agreement, like, because I know we've had some in the past, is that comparable? Because I.
Yeah, they're definitely in the same range.
Okay. I feel like it's so hard to keep track of all these numbers.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of them.
I know, we are getting our arms wrapped around them all the time.
The other thing they've agreed to as well is a 2% annual escalator on that amount.
Which that's new, we haven't had an agreement yet, so that would be.
We need someone who can do the math to figure out what the net benefits us is in the end.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're waiting for.
Mhm.
They're gonna have a schedule with all the payments over
Yeah.
15 years. And
That would be
at least show
helpful,
you guys show you all what you're making on it.
Yeah, so we'll have that. for-
Now, the assessment department has, for the other ones, they have, I believe they have some of that stuff, so if you don't have it, I think they have it.
All right, yeah, you can get it to me, that'd be great, and I'll get it to Sarah.
Great. So we'll table that for now. And then on the updated online agenda, we have the Town of Manlius Recreation Department, which is award. Want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you guys is gonna pull up a picture for us. So the Recreation Department won the Special Area Recreation and Park Society Special Event Award, and that was just given to them this past Friday. What they wanted for Fish Stock, and it's an event that is a one-time or annual event held between January 1st and December 31st of last year that made outstanding contributions to enrich the lives of individuals or groups in neighborhoods or communities in recreation, parks, or conservation. And they won that award for the Fish Stock event, and that's them getting.
That's great. And Fish Stock is coming right up.
Yes, it is. Fish Stock 2024 will be on April 24th at Green Lakes, and we will have a bunch of people there doing it, including the police department.
That's great.
And that's all for that.
And I think you have an update as
Yeah,
well?
so I have an update that, we had applied in July of, actually, this is much faster than the other one. In July of 2023 for I'm gonna get it wrong. The non-agricultural, non-point source planning and MS4 mapping grant of $30,000, or $45,000, sorry, to study the watershed from sort of Pratt's Falls to Fayetteville of Limestone Creek, and to look into what we might be able to do to reduce erosion and improve water quality in those areas.
That's great.
So we received the grant.
We got the grant, so we haven't got the money yet. We got the letter.
Yeah.
So that's, which part of Limestone Creek?
That's French.
So what?
Yeah.
Great. I'm watching William's yard just disappear.
So that would be a big help for us. We can't apply for repair money until we have a study that shows what is needed. So then we could apply for a bigger grant to actually do work on the stream.
Does anyone ever go in the walking path behind the Huntwood neighborhood? Like the condos right off Route 92?
Mhm.
There's a entry there, right there, and then if you go down Yayworth, and go like towards Calvary Circle in the Village of Manlius, you can enter from there as well. So it's like, so it's really neighborhoods that use it, and I grew up swimming in Limestone Creek there. When I tell you that like from here to there has eroded,
Mhm.
and it is getting to the point, like trees have completely sunken away, the trail has disappeared, and it is getting closer and closer and closer to power lines.
Oh, wow.
It's not like this, it's not like, oh, it's gone a little bit, like it's dangerous, and I don't know how you stop it, because the trail, it's been moved over the years, and the feet have disappeared just here in the last couple of years.
It's part of the same utility line, so they actually moved a portion of the same utility line. It was kind of overhead the West Branch there for that very reason. And it was an emergency
Yeah.
And it's
repair.
closer.
And they had to put up a new pole because the pole
It's
was
gonna
washed
be
away.
floating in the air. It's really it's crazy what happened.
Looking to get some money.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sarah, so much.
So, any other updates?
I have a quick update. Go ahead, Lauren.
Mine's pretty simple. So Syracuse Metropolitan Transportation Council has been meeting around the pedestrian and bikeway can't remember, they're studying a way to connect the villages, with pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. And the last of meetings, they've been in the village of Fayetteville, village of Manoa, village of Manlius, and meeting with municipal leaders and other interested parties. Those have wrapped up. It's been somewhat informative for the process, and so they're gonna kind of call together some updates and things, and we've made some suggestions on parts and locations, and best approaches, in advance of public vote, which we'll wanna advertise, we'll wanna push out, and as of right now, it's either gonna be April 3rd or 10th. I said, please not the night of town board, so we'll see if I get my way, but coming up very quickly is to sort of introduce the public, and collect input from the public on this proposed, plan to connect the villages without motor vehicle. So anyway.
Earth Fest registration is open, so if folks are interested in tabling at the event, and that would include recreation department, police department, we've got that open. You guys don't have to pay the registration fee, wait for town department. But Rebecca, our new project coordinator for the town, is working on that, so get in touch with her if any of your, like, if Watershed Stewards wants to be there, which they absolutely should, like we were, that's open. And if you know community organizations that want to be a part of it, please share that with them. A social media post is going to go up tomorrow. And all of the Google Forms and everything, Allison and I worked in the 11th hour to get it up last Friday, and we succeeded. So it's all up. People are signing up. So go to the town Manlius website, sustainable Manlius, all the info there.
Fantastic. Anything else? Okay. Next up, we have the supervisor's report.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the supervisor's report for February 2024.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carries. Abstract number 5.
Give a minute.
Oh, minutes and then
We want to approve the meeting minutes from February 28th, 2024.
One second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I lost the abstract.
Oh, no.
Abstract number 5 sounds like mumble.
Here it is. I got it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 5 in the amount of $511,324.69.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then that's the end of our agenda, but we do need to go into executive session to discuss employment matter.
Yeah, an employment matter related to a specific employee at town hall.
For a motion to enter.
Make a motion to do so.
No.
So moved.
It was your chance.
You're right.
I'll second. Or, go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome to wait in the wings if you want to return all of that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with regard to a specific employee benefit.
That's fine.
A second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we've got some other business.
So we had 3 quotes in front of us for an electric vehicle charging station in the Tops Plaza in the village of Manlius, and we reviewed the quotes. Everyone received those for their review earlier this week, and we're comfortable at this time moving forward with Livingston. Councilor Italiano just wanted to make sure that we are indemnified during the development of the project. So when Livingston is building it, that if something goes wrong, it's on their insurance and not ours, with the understanding that once it's our project, it's under our liability insurance. So Joe, if you could just double check that that's good.
Yep, so yeah, if you want to make a motion to accept the bid subject to final legal approval, that's if you could do that tonight.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the bid for with Livingston to enter into a contract with them pending the review of liability insurance to build an electric vehicle charging station in the village.
Do you know the total amount?
10,000?
I think they did it and this will be covered by a grant.
It is subject to legal review, make it big.
Subject to legal review. Thank you.
Oh,
I just emailed it to everyone, that's probably quicker.
How many ports will there be? 4 or 2?
2. He did not want to take up too many more spots.
And it had to, National Grid had to run power to.
The next
So the total project value is $33,050. But the final project cost will be $20,450 due to the funding that's available. So I'm not sure what you want me to say, is that good?
okay, that's fine. Second?
Someone second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. You know, our partners over at Tops will be very happy.
Yes.
We got
It's
a
taken forever.
approved quote.
And it's the only one in the village of
It's,
Well, we,
Can't wait.
Wait, what out of pocket cost those, 10,000?
Oh, yeah, so a total amount of $33,050 with a final out-of-pocket cost of $10,000.
yeah, I'm looking 1 page up,
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, but I was like, wait, because one was only 10.
and then that's covered by the grant, so.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
All those in
You gotta
favor?
go quick on that.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, good night, everybody.
Someone one day is gonna review all the minutes for all the years, and every motion to adjourn is gonna be Counselor Creelow.